Hello, guys. Thank you so much for coming along to my channel today. I so much do appreciate your presence. Believe me, your presence is all that matters. If this is the first time you're coming along to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much. I will highly encourage you to please click that subscribe button down below and also the notification bell so that anytime I release new content, you'll be the first person to get that. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always, trusting me, always coming to my channel. It's because of you that I'm here. And thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Believe me, for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for those reaching out to me privately and also on this channel. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And as always, if you are looking forward to for a mentorship, or you're still new to Scrum, you just want someone to kind of hold you by the hand, by all means, reach out. I offer free mentorship program. It is totally free. Believe me, it's totally free. All you need to do is to reach out to me and let's collaborate. You can connect with me on my email address, as you can see those information up there, or you can, connect with me on my social media platform like my Instagram or my Facebook, and we can be able to work things out. Remember, it's totally free. Okay. All right. So what are we talking about today? One of the things I keep saying all the time is that Scrum or Scrum Master duty has gone beyond just facilitation. Okay, there are requirements, the demand, organization team, because we don't have project manager role in a Scrum environment. Now, some organization might require a Scrum Master to kind of help in doing some project management responsibilities. And as we know, perhaps you don't know, I also work as a project manager, so I understand that approach. Some organization might require the Scrum Master to track, what is called end value, okay, or some sort of prediction about, or do some sort of forecast to know whether they are on track in terms of the timeline for the project, whether they are over time or whether they are, below schedule, or you know what I mean. So there is this idea of trying to incorporate some sort of, overall health of the project in the, around the Scrum work. So if you are in such an environment where you are required or you are taxed or, you are demanded, what would you do? So today I just wanted to kind of walk you through or have a conversation with you about what is called end value management, EVM, in Scrum. EVM is not specifically a concept in Scrum. It is a project management thing, okay, especially in waterfall. But the idea I wanted to share with you guys today is because some Scrum Masters are being required to kind of provide some sort of overall health of a project. Maybe during a sprint review, when you are doing your review, the stakeholders wanted to know whether the initial estimation versus the the actual work, where they stand. Are they beyond, are they going over budget, or are they going below schedule? So you need to understand how you can plot that math in order to give that information to your stakeholders. So that is why I wanted to work with you guys today on how that applies in Scrum. Okay. As always, I'm going to pull up my screen and then we can get those started. Okay. I believe my screen is visible, right? So like I said, it's a technique you could use to assess, performance and the progress of work. So it is a very valuable thing for every Scrum Master. Now, the first thing I wanted to share with you, having done this introduction, is the basic concepts. So for a lot of us that are, a lot of people that are not so familiar, or, if you're not PMP certified, what I mean by that is project management certified, you haven't gotten your PMP from PMI, so you might be lost. So in order to carry everybody along, I thought I could start off with the basic EVM concepts. Remember EVM, when I use EVM, all of these short forms, by EVM I mean end value management, okay? Now, the first thing we need to kind of clear is, what does EVM mean? End value management. What does it mean? It is basically just a technique. Okay, don't freak out yet. So, it's a technique that they could use to assess, to measure the project performance. To kind of really understand whether you are making efforts or you're making progress based on initial estimation and the actual work that the team is doing. So where you started and where you are, just to kind of assess overall, so that you can have an objective perspective without being influenced by whatever. Okay, so it also helps. It could help you to do some sort of forecast, knowing what you know, doing what you're doing. If you continue to do that, where would you be in the, let's say, 2 sprints or 3 sprints? You know what I mean? So that is EVM for you. Now, there are, 3 basic things when it comes, 3 basic concepts, I would say. The first is plan value. Just like I said, initial estimation, okay? Think of initial estimation as that discovery part of a project. The negotiation has been concluded, the contract is signed, right? So initial by plan value means basically the estimated work, estimated value of the work planned, right? Estimated. How much effort that the team is estimating to do. That is, what is called plan value. End value is the value of actual work done, right? Now, think of initial value. This is something initial idea of what needs to be done. Then actual is, this is what is already done. Okay, this is how much we got out of that initial. Now, actual costs means the total amount of money incurred. Okay, we had this initial, things in mind. We spent such amount of effort, but the cost of it is, that is what is called actual cost. Okay, now how do we adapt EVM for Scrum? Okay, now the first thing you need to keep in mind is, in Scrum we have time box. Okay, that is the first thing. We have time box, and that's time box. It kind of kicks in with the sprints. Right, so using the sprints can give you an idea of how much you can track in terms of the time. In terms of time, talk about effort as against time. So that is how that could apply. Okay. Now, user stories. Think about value as in terms of user stories. Okay. In project management, we call it value. In Scrum, we think about user stories. And each user story is assigned story points. That is Scrum for you, right? And what does those story points represent? They are used to calculate the estimated value. Remember, estimate means what you are assuming that is going to take you to get something done. I want you to see the point of connection between what is done in project management, especially in real traditional project management, till Scrum. So there is some sort of connection. You need to kind of plot and plot the graph there. Now, having kind of gotten an idea of this adaptation in Scrum for Scrum, then how would you calculate EVM metrics in Scrum? Now, you need to determine the plan value. Okay, by plan value, think about it as the initial value. Okay. You need to determine the plan value. Typically, is the total number of story points planned for the sprints. When the team has done their sprint planning, they kind of have an idea of total amount of story points, right? That is what we call the average, some people call it average velocity, right? Total number of story points planned for the sprints. Now, at the end of the sprint, now let's just say the team has planned to accomplish 60 story points, but at the end of the sprint, the team, they were able to accomplish 40 story points, right? Now that becomes the end value. The end value, because they have completed that. So plan value is the initial planned story points. The end value is what has been completed. Now you need to track the actual costs. The actual cost is the total amount of hours that the developers or the dev team were able to spend to finish up those story points in a sprint. It's quite, I mean, can you follow along what I'm trying to? So when they ask you as a Scrum Master to kind of give an idea of, to track the actual cost, all you need to do is to go to your Jira. There are ways you can configure. If you're not sure how to do that, send me that in the comment section and I'll try to respond to you as soon as I can, okay? So actual cost is the total amount of efforts. You can track that in Jira. The estimated value is the completed story points, and the planned value is in terms of the initial story points. As simple as that, okay? The next thing is, how would you measure the performance? What is called performance indicators, okay? The first is the cost variance, CV. This also indicates whether you are under or below or over budgets, right? So remember, you have your contract. Maybe you are on a fixed contract or variable, whatever it is. So you need to make sure that you can, measure what's based on what you have and based on what you plan and what you have. Cost variance is to get the formula is, you have to get the initial value, okay? Now, if you think about the initial value from the sprint perspective, that is the initial story points you have planned. The actual value is the actual story points that the team has completed equals to. So you need to do the minus there. As soon as you do the subtraction, then you get the actual value. Schedule variance is you use the schedule variance to show whether you are ahead or behind schedule. Okay, and how would you do that? Simply subtract planned value from the end value. In other words, subtract initial from what you got at the end of the sprint. Cost performance index. This is majorly used to measure cost efficiency. Okay. Schedule performance index used to measure schedule efficiency. So it's just an opposite of cost performance. As simple as that. Now, how would you integrate EVM with Scrum ceremonies? Remember, in Scrum, we have daily stand-up, sprint planning, sprint review, and retrospective. We have 5 ceremonies or events. But how would you use it to integrate with the Scrum, the basic, if I may say basic, even though all of them are very important, right? Now, you use the sprint planning to define the planned value. So the sprint planning, is just the first ceremony where the team can plan about what value would they be able to incur. In other words, how many story points, when I think of planned value, think about initial story points that the team is planning to get into the sprints. That is the sprint planning, okay? Now, the daily stand-up, you use the daily stand-up to update your actual costs and track progress towards end value. Remember, you are planning to get end value of maybe 40 story points out of 60 story points. So you use the daily stand-up to track and update your actual costs, okay? Now, the sprint review, remember, the purpose of the sprint review is to kind of review what the team has planned to do in a sprint. So you use the sprint review to assess performance using the EVM metrics and adjust forecast. Now, the forecast is estimate at completion, okay, and estimate to complete. These are the 2 forecasts that we use in EVM, okay? The last but not the least of what I wanted to share with you guys is, but what is the practice and what is the value? Why should we, you might be wondering, why is EVM important in Scrum? Now, let's start with the best practices, okay? You need to ensure, in order to implement this EVM in Scrum, you need to ensure there is a consistency in your story pointing, right? Consistency in story pointing. Remember, there are different story pointing techniques. You have the relative sizing, the Fibonacci sequence, all those. Consistency. You need to regularly track and update the actual efforts and progress. Remember the actual cost, as the team is working, what is the day-to-day end value, if I may put it that way. And then you need to adapt and refine the approach. You need to adapt it and refine it based on the team composition, on the projects, the environments. But what value? Why do we have to use EVM in Scrum? It gives you some kind of quantitative data to support your decision making. So now, as a Scrum Master, when you study and when you can be able to plot out this information, it's going to help you to make informed decision. If you need to reassign, or if you need to, kind of work with your stakeholders, you have data to work with, right? If there is much more scope change, then it has to affect the work. Remember, in project management, we have what is called the iron triangle. The iron triangle is more or less the scope, more or less the time, more or less the budget. So you can't do one without affecting the other. The same thing applies in Scrum. Okay, I've heard so many people saying scope change, scope creep, it doesn't matter. It does matter in Scrum. The same way it also matters in project management. If you're not sure how that goes, or the correlation or the point of convergence, please let me know in the comment section. I can walk you through. Another benefit of using EVM in Scrum is that it helps in early detection of issues and improve forecasting. You need to always think about what is coming forward. Let's just say you have 14 sprints planned out for that project. So you need to figure out, where you are, continue to do what you're doing right now. Would you be able to accomplish, the rest of the sprint within the time box and within the budget? As a Scrum Master, you should be able to understand. Obviously, EVM it's not like a silver bullet. It has some limitation. There are some drawbacks. You understand that Scrum is flexible, right? So because Scrum is flexible, so Scrum needs adaptation. So EVM might not be as flexible as Scrum. That is one drawback there. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. Another drawback is story points or hours might not always accurately reflect the value. Sometimes when you, for example, I may use the what is it called? The burn down chart to give you an example. Sometimes the burn down chart might not give you an accurate idea of how much effort the team is spending in a sprint, right? If you're already in that situation. The same thing applies. So using the earned value management might not really give you an idea, but most of the times, 99% of the time is going to help you to kind of be accurate in terms of your, what is called forecast and decision. That's what I thought I could share with you guys today. I'm not sure how many persons have used EVM in your Scrum projects, but I would love to hear. If you have used it, can you put that in the comment section? Say, yes, I have used that. This really helps. If you haven't used it and you're still not sure how you can use it to kind of work with your stakeholders, this is mostly helpful if your stakeholders want some sort of transparency. You know what we call transparency in Scrum? We want to know, we want to see, we want to be kept in the loop. You can use this to share information with them, and they can really see how much that they are spending as against the work that they are also spending their money on. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for spending these few minutes with me. It's been so lovely spending this time with you. Let me know what you think about EVM in Scrum. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, let me know too. Thank you. I hope to see you again next time. In the meantime, stay well and bye for now.